Hello everyone, welcome to Death Nude Studio. This is 31 Days of Horror, Day 3. Gib, let's get straight into it, baby.
Yep, go for it.
What is your pick for Day 3 of Halloween?
My pick is Pumpkinhead.
Brilliant.
Directed by the legendary Stan Winston.
Hell yeah.
Very, very stripped down, simple monster, kind of a bit of a Western twist to it, like out in the desert horror movie. I absolutely love this film. Just
amazing.
So simple in execution and the way it's written, but it just shows if you've got a good monster, it's all you need, and a good little backstory to set it up. It's just fantastic, and it's just, it's got a great performance from Lance Henriksen,
who is phenomenal. Yeah,
it absolutely goes through the ringer in this one, shall we say?
Oh, yeah.
Just really good setup, dead simple, really well paced. Sets up, some some typical shitty 80s teenagers, maybe apart from a couple of them, which are there just for the picking, which they do literally get picked by this gigantic monster. But so iconic, like the design of it. It's like something that Stan Winston probably would have designed himself if he wasn't directing it. Fucking great film. Great 80s film. It's, not the most talked about, but it's definitely, it is a cult classic.
100%, yeah.
It got a ton of really shitty sequels. I'm sure I think there's about 8 or 9 of them. There's loads of straight to DVD ones, but just stick with this one. Really good. I think the first time I saw it, I was probably early 2000s. I bought the Tartan Horror DVD of it, which I think I still got. I might be wrong. I did end up upgrading. There was MGM did a special edition of it later down the line. Had some really good behind the scenes stuff. But that's definitely a really good one to watch for Halloween. If you love monster movies, if you love very stripped down, simple premise for your horror movies as well, it's I highly recommend it.
And top-notch physical effects.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, Stan Winston, he knows what he's doing. And
exactly,
it looks great. And one thing that I really liked about Pumpkinhead, I liked all of it, but one thing specifically is the monster. It's been a while since I've seen it. Does the monster slowly start to resemble Lance Henriksen as the film goes on?
They kind of link, because Lance Henriksen obviously goes to the witch, and Pumpkinhead's born. It's a revenge demon, basically, to get revenge on these these teenagers that that were fucking around with a motorcycle. With spoilers, like, they're fucking around with quad bikes, and one of them hits his son, kills him. They didn't mean to. They were just pissing around, being dickheads. Obviously, in his grief, he summons this Pumpkinhead, revenge demon, which I think is like an alternative title for it. I'm sure it's in some countries it's just called revenge demon, or and then eventually it kind of links to him, so he starts pre-seeing the deaths of these teens, and then he starts to feel guilt, because they didn't, there's a couple of them that are douchebags, but they didn't intentionally do this, and so he basically tries to stop it. Very conflicted.
I like the way you can relate to both ends of the instant, kind of like you feel for Lance Henriksen, he's lost his son, and you feel for the kids who are being hunted down and murdered. Because
very brutally as well.
Because it wasn't a malicious act. It was just, like you said, it was just being dickheads and fucking up. Mm-hmm. So it gives you like an interesting perspective, like which side you're on, and you're like, it's such a cool little film.
It really is, and sort of like the finale as well, like in the woods. Everything's just everything's just lit perfectly. It's just very old school horror. And again, all practical, nothing fancy. It's just when sometimes it just needs to be done right. Doesn't need to be too complex. But yeah, I think it's a great film, and that's what I'm recommending today.
And what a recommendation! I love Pumpkinhead. It was absolutely fantastic watch. For my pick, Gib, I've gone a bit classic. I've gone a bit high end.
Oh,
I've gone with 1960s Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho.
Right, bringing the heat today. Going right in there with the classics.
Oh man, I was like, I've got to put Psycho in there. It's like because I was very late to the game with Psycho. I only watched it for the first time like a couple of years ago.
Really? Okay.
Because I went through an Alfred Hitchcock phase, which thank God I did, because he's a legend for a reason.
Yeah, no, I did the same. We got the box set. We started plowing through. I've not seen a lot of his films, to be honest. Just his main ones. But for a long time, Psycho was the only one that I'd seen. But it's one of those films that's so integrated into pop culture. I mean, you probably feel like you've already seen it before you've seen it.
Exactly. If you've watched The Simpsons, you've seen Psycho. It's
been parodied, so many times, but it's still great to watch all the way through to appreciate where it all started and how influential it was as well.
Oh, massively, man! And to be honest, like when you're watching a film from the 60s and the 70s, or even the 50s, you see it and you go, "Oh, it's a bit dated." This, like, it's definitely of its time. But I think Psycho is just timeless.
It is.
Like the way it's been made, it seemed, I don't know, it seemed when watching it just seemed so, it was so good that it was better than today's standards of horror or thriller or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and there's a reason why it stood out so much back then as well, because it was just, I feel like there's probably all the films that came out around that time, and Psycho was just up here. And like you said, Alfred Hitchcock's a legend for a reason.
I mean, I would have loved, if I can go back in time and watch a film when it came out, it'd be Psycho, because probably the main twist at the beginning is the fact that Janet Leigh got killed off, and Janet Leigh back in the day was a massive star. So to kill off a massive star, in the first part of the film, where you think the film's about her, it was so ballsy. But for me, watching that kind of went over my head. It was like, oh, they killed off the main star. It was like when you watch Once Upon a Time in the West and you find out Henry Fonda's just shot a kid. It's like when you're watching it now, it's like, oh, he's a bad guy, he shot a kid. But back in the day, it was Henry Fonda's always the good guy. He can't shoot a kid.
So it must have been so shocking. And imagine not knowing that scene was going to happen. Must have blown people's minds back then.
Yeah, and it's I mean, I can't really say much more on Psycho that someone else hasn't already said better.
Yeah,
it's a classic. It's a classic for a reason. If you've not watched it, you're really missing out.
Yeah, and it's just as relevant now as it was then. Like it's I don't feel like it's super dated. I'm sure there's probably little bits here and there you can pick, but it's just I think you can just watch it, and there's nothing that screams so much of the 60s and the era where it's kind of off-putting. It's, as I say, it's a classic for a reason, and it's 5-star horror.
It is 100%, mate. And
your list is so much more highbrow. There's a theme with mine. It's a lot of trash. You're going in for the highbrow classics.
We've got both ends of the spectrum. It's all gravy, baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are our recommendations for day 3 of your Halloween. If you've watched them, watch them again. If you haven't watched them, watch them right now because the boss.
Yeah, do it now. Like right now.
Right now! But let us know what you think in the comments below and social media. Have we picked 2 good ones? In fact, don't. We already know we have.
We have. Yeah.